Hi, I'm Al Salehai.
And I'm Mekabis Mohajir,
Welcome to another episode of
the doctor.
And the Devil's Advocate. Today we're going to discuss the new set of laws that the Trump administration is putting out against or for the people of the United States. Do you believe that this current government is against people or against people of the world? Is it out to be an isolationist government?
I think so.
How so?
I think that all the policies they're talking about, all the executive orders, all the things that I think President Trump is trying to bring into existence, it smells of that. Mm-hmm. You know, this is our country. We want to make our country great, which is all awesome. I mean, yes, you do completely want to do that, but you don't want to come across at the expense of the rest of the world. And I think that's what everyone's picking up.
You know what's interesting is we had a travel ban that made it so 7 countries, people from 7 countries could not come in.
They removed one now. Yes.
Right,
yes.
Iraq.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Iraq,
Iran, Iraq. Right. So Iraq is now off the list. Why is it off the list?
I don't know. Why is it off the list?
Well,
tell me.
There's the official reason and then there's the unofficial reason.
Yes.
Officially, somehow, the concept of our government, the new Trump administration government, is that these nations that are on this travel ban are not forthcoming with information regarding those immigrants and visitors. That because they do not give that information, we're not able to properly vet those individuals, and therefore they can be a security risk.
Yes.
Somehow, Iraq, in these little bit of time, has updated those security measures.
Is that what they say?
And by coincidence, now they're forthcoming with all of what we needed, and they're off the list. That's the official story.
Okay. What do you think the unofficial story is?
However, the 2 main advocates that we know that pushed to get them off the list was the Prime Minister of Iraq and, by coincidence, the current Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, who was the former CEO of BP.
Yes.
And as we know, Iraq is a major
BP supplier. Yes.
So I know you're in. I'm just handing this to you.
Conspiracy.
So go ahead and connect the dots for us. What's really going on?
You just hit the nail on the head. It's so obvious. There's no reason to connect the dots. The dots are right there. I mean, they've painted the picture. This guy was the CEO of BP, and BP is the biggest purchaser of Iraqi oil or one of the biggest, and so based on that scenario, it'd be important for possibly showing good faith, showing that, hey, you stick with BP, we take care of you simply because we have this kind of pull in this government, and that's exactly why I believe that's taken place.
It's interesting because in none of the 7 countries is there a Trump hotel, but in many of these countries, especially Iraq, there's oil.
Yes, of
course.
So
that's something that I think needs to be looked at as far
absolutely.
as how we examine.
I think that's exactly what it is. I think that I have a. I'm not gonna do the hands anymore. The magician hand. I believe that there is a lot more than meets the eye. It seems like, are these people this ridiculously not thinking we're going to realize why they're doing it? I think there is a greater motivation which has not become evident to me yet, which is, I think, soon going to become evident, or people are going to figure out what is the conspiracy theory behind this. Obviously, this one is no need for conspiracy theory. It's happening. It's just right there. So there is some good old boy network. There's some under the table scenarios. Possibly there's some promises made, and hey, stick with us. We can take care. Look how much power we got. We took you right off the security ban list. Kind of too much of a coincidence, if it smells like a fish, then it probably is fish.
One of the biggest arguments that Rex Tillerson had pushed forward officially on the record was that they being the Iraqi people, shouldn't be punished because they are one of the biggest ISIS fighters. Ideologically and in terms of physically being there, they are fighting ISIS, so they should be rewarded in some way. But then again, Iran, ideologically, is anti-ISIS as well.
Iran is more anti-ISIS than anyone. The existence of the Islamic Republic of Iran cannot be if ISIS gets their way. There is a complete disconnect. So if you're rewarding based on that, then there's no reason to put those people, because good luck with ISIS trying to. If they felt they could do that, they would have invaded Iran. But that's one country you don't want to mess with.
That's right. Now, Iran, because of this, is now looking to establish reciprocal actions.
Yes.
Although their actions also don't make that much sense.
Well,
they're saying they're not going to allow people who hold any form of U.S. citizenship.
I know.
To come to Iran.
Which is only going to hurt the Iranian people that,
right.
because of the revolution, possibly came to the U.S. because of whatever reason happened in 1979. And now those are the people that are not going to have the chance to go back home to visit family members and maybe dying parents or grandparents and so on and so forth. So this is an interesting byproduct of that.
On the flip side, in Europe,
because I don't think there's many Americans that are waiting to go to Iran. Although tourism in Iran has picked up, but I don't think there's many that are just rushing to purchase tickets to go to Iran via either Germany or the United Arab Emirates, or Turkish Airlines, the 3 points to Iran.
Mm-hmm. So the European Union just last week has been pushing and promoting a threat to the United States of America, saying that if you do not accept some of our member nations, and some of them, like for example, like Croatia, they are considered by the United States as not necessarily forthcoming again with certain information. And even though they are part of Europe and the European Union, the members of those states and countries need to still get visas to come to America. So EU is saying, look, either you accept all of us, or when you come as an American to Europe, you now need to get a visa.
True. I think, I mean, there is going to be collateral scenarios taking place. This is a collateral-based,
What do you mean collateral scenario?
Well, you have, for example, collateral, the fact that you do that to them is tit for tat. They do something to you. So there's going to be issues where now you have to have visas to go, whereas in the past you didn't possibly need it because you were forcing them to get visas. So I think we're going backwards. Mm-hmm. I think the need...
Oh, equilateral. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
2 different words completely.
Okay.
Go ahead,
My word works also.
No, but go ahead. Never mind.
Let's break it down. No, I like to break it down. Go ahead.
Collateral is the sum effect of something, meaning that you have a collateral effect of, for example, a tragedy or a scenario, which in this case, you're talking about something that's not one-sided, it's not effect.
It's like saying matter of fact, but then not using a number, right? And because that's what we talked about before. You have to have a number.
The net effect of something.
Okay.
Is a collateral effect. It is resultant of something. But you're talking about something that's bidirectional, equilateral. An equilateral is both
but in the regular world they call that collateral damage, where you're committing this damage and they're going to do damage back to you. But you're saying it's called
collateral damage. You don't have to do damage back.
Of course, yes.
Collateral damage can be done to me.
Innocent people, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so let's give him the trophy. It's collateral. He had to make a point to stop the show right in the middle and correct me. It's okay. I deal with it. It's no problem. So there is collateral damage, obviously, at that point, and so you see now that I think it's going to get worse and worse, and it's only going to hurt the people that are doing things to help this country, I believe. Maybe people that are, trying to do business, and it's harder for them to do that. So I think it is the isolation, syndrome taking full effect.
I think that the EU really needs to reform. I think that if we are going to start taking in members of the EU states, which Japan recently has accepted the threat essentially from the EU and allowed this to happen, I don't believe that America should buckle to the European Union. That in this particular case, even though there may not necessarily be initial truth to it as much, or validity, is a better word, there should be validity in the sense that if there are countries that multiple countries do not accept their security measures, we shouldn't make exceptions. We should say we'll accept it as long as it meets these standards. And there needs to be standards.
I agree.
Okay, so extreme politics. Do you believe in some cases that the entire world is moving towards extremism when it comes to rhetoric? And is that a good thing? Should there be, as you say, tits for tats all over the place? Should there be equilateral conversation?
Tit for tat.
Yeah, multiple tits and tats.
No, it's
It's
tit for tat, not tits for tat. It's tit for tat.
Tats and tits?
No, it's tit for tat, equilateral, man. Not tat for tit.
What?
Not
so
tits
You're saying there's an
there-
importance and
there is-
significance
there is-
in order effects for tits
No,
and
it's
tats?
no, it's
there must be a
there
tat
is no
before a
S.
tit?
There's no S. It's tit for tat, not tits for tats. But that's fine.
Tot-
There's tots, but that's a potato
Kids
for
for
breakfast.
tots?
And kicks for cars.
Oh.
Tots for cars or kids for cars. Anyways, let's not go on a diatribe of craziness. Now, I agree with yes. Don't you think that's happening? That there is extremism, and I think it's going to spawn a lot of other things. And I have no idea why people are allowing this to happen. Because it's creating this sort of, I feel we're going backwards. You know, and we need to find out why. What is the end game? And I would like someone, I would like some reporter at some point who's allowed to ask President Trump a question, to ask him the question of, okay, listen, after 4 years, where do you project us to be? What is your perfect scenario? If you're able to, you have the Senate and you can pass any laws, what is America going to look like in 4 years? I like to see what he says, and minus the, I want to make America great again, keep the jobs here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. That's stuff to win, races. But what do you plan? What do you think America's going to look like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the extreme things that he's going to be pushing up against is going to be North Korea. I mean, that's another extreme dictator. There is the possibility that there may be conflict, military conflict with North Korea.
Yeah.
Do you believe that we should preemptively go against North Korea? Do you believe North Korea to be a threat against the United States?
No.
And do you believe Donald Trump is the right leader to be in position to effectively commute that threat?
No.
So there's the solution.
But that's not up to
imminent
me.
danger,
So
then.
there is clear and present danger in this policy. So why are you laughing? It is a great movie by Harrison Ford.
If I review, I don't know, I think half the shows we've done, and I don't know how many years we've now been working together.
Are you gonna make fun of me right now? Should I get ready to
It's
kick your
fact.
ass?
No, it's just
Go ahead.
factual.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that 75% of your references, instead of it being necessarily your own personal experience
It is
or
my
academic, it's some kind of a Hollywood movie script.
We're using clear and present dangers because that's what they use to explain that movie.
I see.
So you have a problem.
To the President of the United States, there was a clear emphasis.
No, we're talking about the verbiage.
Uh-huh.
There is clear and present danger in this situation. And he wasn't the president at the time in that movie, Harrison Ford. So you haven't seen the movie. So you're talking out of your asses.
No.
Many times you do. But that's besides the point. Let's not go on that tangent. There is danger because when you start picking on people, some people feel that they can the worst thing you can do is overestimate your power to fight. On any level. Bully in the playground, someone at a club, at a traffic rage, or as a country. So there are going to be countries that are going to, for whatever reason, think they can beat the U.S.
Well, I think
that is the danger. If those people are able to get their hands on nuclear weapons or even just short-term or long distance ballistic missiles, I mean, you're going to now, because they can't reach the U.S., but they're going to hurt the surrounding countries.
Well, I think one of the problems with North Korea is that they are a country that does not necessarily operate on a logic that we completely understand.
Yes.
For example, just a little while ago, the head state intelligence services of North Korea had ordered the assassination of the current head of state's brother. Mm-hmm. So the brother or half-brother is in Malaysia. He's the older brother, and he is in charge of looking after a lot of the family's wealth overseas. And at some point, like out of a spy novel, 4 people, 2 of which are women, come up behind him, and this is amazing. I don't know if the viewers or anyone really knows the details of what happened, but they used a chemical. This chemical is illegal in many places, and it just a little bit of it on your skin will kill you. However, it's created in 2 parts, and if any one of those 2 parts is on you, it's okay. So one person had one of the chemicals on them on a cloth.
And the other had the other one.
And the other had the other one. They both came up to him and rubbed it at different times on his face, combining the 2 elements on him. He had just enough time to stumble upon a agent somewhere or a ticket agent and said, hey, help, and before you know it, the guy's dead. I mean, this is incredible. It almost seems like that movie, going to your reference point.
Yes.
With
the Jackal. With Bruce Willis.
Well,
Bruce Willis did a movie where he was a murderer, and he had a substance that he put on the trunk of his car.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And as the guy went and touched it, he actually threw up and he died. So maybe that's a similar.
Right, and like that comedy one with Seth Rogen, where
when they were trying to get the Korean,
shake his hand, and that was also the North Korean
Interesting.
connection. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were so upset about that movie, because they realized that they were about to do it or they already done it. And so they were upset at the fact that maybe this conspiracy theorists of the world will come and say, oh my God, they had that in the works many years ago.
That's right, yeah. Welcome to Movie Phone. So shameless plug for, I don't even know if that exists anymore. Probably not.
That doesn't need to.
Can we plug things that don't exist?
Well, absolutely. We do everything else in this show. Talk about things that don't exist.
Speaking of which,
all your, I gotta start getting books to say, okay, all this stuff you talk about, is it real? Because you say it so beautifully, I have no idea. Let me tell you a funny story.
Have you ever found something I said?
No, I'm just saying in general, don't get offended. Yeah. I had a buddy of mine, we were at an event, and it was a red carpet event, and he starts singing in French. And the guy next to him was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. He's singing French. I go, dude, you speak French? He said, no. He said, he could be saying whatever he wants. You're not going to know if he's right or wrong. It's kind of the same thing with you. You could be saying whatever you want, but because you say it so convincingly, we all believe it's to be gospel.
Well, I'm glad that at least the belief and the faith is there.
Let's
hope we keep the faith alive.
Keep the faith alive, absolutely. You have the audacity to.
The audacity of hope.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of movement has been pushed now for this concept of this extreme politics in the United States and around the world to be toned down. I think that we've seen this stuff in shifts. Mm-hmm. There was a time when Obama was president, and a lot of the leaders around the world were more moderate. What do you believe to be the reason that aggression in the voting population has risen, fear has risen? What's happening where voters are becoming more aggressive in voting for more aggressive candidates?
I think that if you look at what's happened in the world, you see, the world has gone small. Okay, so you can no longer hide people. You cannot insulate people from finding out things that have happened. The guy runs a truck into a crowded festival, kills so many people. The guy goes into a nightclub with guns, kills some. So the whole world is continuously seeing this mass murdering scenarios taking place, and I think it's affecting people negatively. And so they're trying to aggressively. And their leaders are coming and playing on that fear of, hey, we better do this here or they can come and do this in our neighborhood. So they're playing the fear card. And so what is a lot of times aggression is the fear of the unknown. You don't know, so you become aggressive to stop it because you don't know what it is. You don't recognize it. We talked about earlier this week about you see 4 black guys walking towards you because of how you've been programmed. You're thinking maybe they're going to do something to you. So you might act, aggressively towards them or to act a certain way so they don't act a certain way towards you. So that could be, and I believe that is the reason why that's happening.
One of the things is that, as you say, perception is everything. And I believe that the majority of perception has to come from a point of information, so news. And we see things differently. Everyone sees things differently and they get that information from that source. So I know that Donald Trump has used the term fake news. Mm-hmm. Is there fake news? Does that exist? And what the heck is it? What does fake news mean?
I think Donald Trump, whatever he doesn't believe to be his truth or his news or his reality, he interprets into fake news. And because there are the conspiracy theorists, and because there has been conspiracies, because there has been fake news, that you can disseminate stuff through, like we talked about a week ago, that you can start talking a certain way about things, and that's going to dictate how people view it years and years to come. Because of that, you can come and say, hey, there's fake news, and people are going to start believing you, really not knowing what it is. They're going to believe that, okay, CNN is now only spreading fake news because it's against what the commander-in-chief wants them to say.
But don't you think that's hurtful? Don't you think that hurts?
You're not asking me if it's right or wrong. You're saying, what is it? I'm explaining to you. I believe that there needs to be a truly conscious approach towards including people in the process, including the world. I think this us against the world attitude, a superpower, the number one, the apex superpower in the world, cannot have that. I don't think. You can't say we're going to, round the wagons and we're going to blow anybody out of this world that doesn't agree with me. And so the president is basically doing that when he's telling people, the Spanish guy that he kicks out of the press conference, then his aide is telling him, go back to your own country. Who are you to say that to that guy? You freaking idiot. Where did you come from? Are you an American? The only people that can say that is if you're an American Indian. If you're not, you don't have the right to say that. You came maybe 50, 100, 200 years ago and that's it. Okay? So, but this guy is actually so cavalier that he's saying it to this Hispanic reporter, okay, and not caring that he's been recorded, that it's going to be a soundbite. So that becomes dangerous. Okay? And I know they're comparing Trump to Hitler. And what's interesting is that, Hitler, out of all the leaders in World War II, was the only leader elected into office. Okay? There was no revolution. There was no coup d'etat. He actually went through the political process and he became elected. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where the fear is. I don't think we're going to allow that to happen. I certainly hope that even those senators who are Republicans, who have the power in the Senate, are going to look at this situation. They're going to maybe run with this horse as much as they can to do the dirty work that they don't dare to do because they're career politicians. And this guy is just crazy enough to do stuff that other politicians are not willing to do. When I was speaking about the conspiracy theory a couple of weeks ago, and you were like, what are you talking about? Who are they? Well, it's a thought.
Yeah. Actually, you just mentioned this regarding the thoughts and how Donald Trump symbolizes this types of domestic attitude where America is first. Mm-hmm. You bring up a good point. I think that everything has come down to a limited number of sound bites, mm-hmm. and that people want to make that sound bite. And the best way to make that sound bite is with a symbol. Mm-hmm. And so much of what we've been talking about, especially this last week, regarding symbols. Certain symbols are just innate to you. One symbol might be the color of your skin. If you're black, that's symbolic of, for example, maybe being oppressed against, maybe being having prejudiced against. Maybe if you have a long beard and, as you said, a turban, that's a symbol of you being Muslim. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes some of these symbols, in my opinion, can be abused for the wrong reasons. So I noticed that a lot of for example, Muslim marches, some people are wearing this costume when they don't necessarily believe in the faith. And they are, but to be one, and I don't know how that plays out. I think that sometimes people abuse certain kind of symbols to say we are for something, or for when women's rights are being advocated in France, in Russia, and recently in New York. We have a group of individuals, women, who take off their shirts and expose their breasts, mm-hmm. and for example, in the middle of Times Square. And then when they're arrested, based on the laws of those countries, they then, in some cases, claim that this is anti-women's rights because they're taking out, their breasts, and there's no tit for tat in that particular case, apparently, politically speaking.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's important to see what the breast looks like. I think that should be the determining factor. But yes, but that's extremism also. I think people are they don't know what to. I think people are in fear of what is happening. They don't believe it. It's kind of like, first it was comedy, where Donald Trump is running for president. Funny, he's standing up there with 10 or 11 other Republicans. That's funny, this dude is out of his mind. Then he became, in the running. Like there was like 2 or 3 people, and he was one of them. And then he somehow miraculously got the Republican nominee. He's like, what? And then he goes against, Clinton. It's like, does he have a chance? No, not really. It's just a joke. And then he actually wins. Yeah. Then you're waiting for him to curtail everything because now he's in power. You really have the ability not to kowtow to the special interests, to the lobbies, kick their ass, do this and that.
But he's doubling down.
Exactly. People are like, oh, this guy's not going to allow the pipeline to go through, but then boom, he lets it go through. He's not going to build a wall. Yeah, we're going to build a wall. He's not going to do that. He's going to do it simply because. And I don't know what the end game is. I have no idea. I have a theory that I'll talk to you about on the next episode because it's going to take a little bit longer, and it is the conspiracy theory. And I think we should spend an episode talking about conspiracy theories in this country. Sure. Things that do not make sense, then maybe if they don't make sense, I don't know how those things happen, but it was not the official way that they say it happened. So what is the definition of a conspiracy? When two or more people conspire to do something. So maybe we can talk about those things and certainly reach some sort of a conclusion of why is it that Donald Trump is doing the things that he's doing. Anyways, nice episode, sir. It was enjoyed being with you. Hope you enjoyed the program. And next time, my pleasure. I enjoyed being your guest today, and then I will let you be back tomorrow for us to talk about.
Hopefully I can get some words in.
You spoke a lot today, and you insulted me too. So when the camera goes off, I'm going to literally have to maybe.
I'll let you take off your shirt
maybe I do some harm to you,
audience.
and then you come back with a makeup tomorrow. Anyways, we'll see you tomorrow.
Like you did on your concerts,
We will see you next time.
Nikki Wrights. Take care.